They say laughter is the best medicine, but what happens when the person who makes the world laugh is silently fighting her own battle? Pause. This is the story of Rosie O'Donnell, a woman who found strength through humor, hope through struggle, and light through the darkness of diabetes. Dramatic music begins. Clips of Rosie hosting, performing, smiling at fans. Rosie O'Donnell, a name that brought joy to millions through comedy, talk shows, and films. But behind the camera, away from the laughter, Rosie was living with something she didn't expect. Type 2 diabetes. Soft instrumental music. At first, it was small signs: exhaustion, blurred vision, feeling off. But Rosie, like many, brushed it aside. She was busy, always giving to others, always smiling. Pause. Until one day, her body said no more. Cut to a hospital scene, lights dim, monitors beeping softly. After a major health scare, Rosie received the diagnosis: type 2 diabetes. It wasn't just a label. It was a wake-up call, one that would change her life forever. Music shifts to something tense but hopeful. Rosie could have given up. But that's not who she is. Pause. She faced her diabetes like she faced every challenge in her life, with courage, honesty, and a little humor. Clips of Rosie speaking publicly, smiling, working out, cooking healthy meals. She started learning. She adjusted her diet, began exercising, and spoke openly about her journey. Because for Rosie, silence wasn't an option. Her message was simple: if I can face this, so can you. Inspiring music rises. Footage of Rosie joking during interviews, mixed with scenes of her at home, spending time with family. Rosie used what she knew best, laughter, as her shield and her sword. She reminded people that humor doesn't erase pain, but it makes the journey easier. Diabetes didn't take away her spark, it made it shine brighter. Because every smile she shared became proof that hope is stronger than fear. Calm, uplifting piano music. Today, Rosie O'Donnell continues to inspire. She manages her diabetes, speaks up for awareness, and encourages others to take control of their health. Her story isn't about perfection, it's about persistence. About finding light even when the path feels dark. Pause. Rosie shows us that diabetes doesn't define your story, you do. Inspiring music swells. Narrator, warm tone. To everyone living with diabetes. Remember Rosie's journey. You are stronger than you think, braver than you believe, and never alone. Keep fighting. Keep laughing. Because your story, just like Rosie's, can inspire the world. Fade out with soft music and message. Visual, a spotlight shines on an empty comedy stage. Soft laughter echoes in the distance. Soft, emotional tone. They say laughter heals everything. But what if the one who makes millions laugh is silently fighting a battle inside her own body? Pause. This is the story of Rosie O'Donnell, a woman who turned pain into power, and fear into strength. Dramatic music builds slowly. Visual, Rosie performing on stage, audience laughing. Cut to backstage, she wipes her face, looking tired. For years, Rosie O'Donnell was unstoppable, a comedian, actress, and talk show host who filled homes with joy and laughter. But behind the laughter, she was feeling something different. Fatigue. Dizziness. A constant feeling that something wasn't right. Soft music continues. Rosie ignored it, like so many people do. She thought, I'm just busy. I'm just tired. Pause. But one day, her body forced her to stop pretending. Visual, hospital lights, heartbeat monitor beeping softly, Rosie resting in a hospital bed. Calm, serious tone. After a major health scare, doctors delivered the truth: Rosie had type 2 diabetes. At first, she was scared. Angry. Even ashamed. How could this happen to her, the woman who brought light to others? Soft dramatic music. But deep inside, Rosie knew this was her turning point. She could either give up, or fight back. Music swells slightly. Visual, Rosie walking outdoors, cooking healthy meals, and working out gently. Rosie chose to fight. She started learning about diabetes not to fear it, but to understand it. She began eating better, moving more, and sharing her story with honesty and courage. Pause, inspiring music begins. She didn't hide behind fame. She spoke out, telling others, it's okay to struggle. What matters is that you don't stop trying. Every step forward became a victory. Every laugh became a reminder that even in pain, life is still worth smiling about. Visual, Rosie laughing with friends, hugging her kids, appearing on talk shows with confidence. Today, Rosie O'Donnell continues to inspire not just with her humor, but with her strength. She manages her diabetes with care, hope, and discipline. Because she knows living with diabetes isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Pause, uplifting piano melody. Rosie turned her struggle into a message of hope for millions. She reminds us that even when life feels heavy, laughter can still lift us. Visual, Rosie smiling on stage, spotlight behind her, audience cheering. Warm, hopeful tone. To everyone living with diabetes. Remember Rosie's story. You are stronger than your fears, and your light can still shine even through the hardest days. Keep fighting. Keep believing. Keep laughing. Because hope is the best medicine of all. Rosie O'Donnell, fighting diabetes with courage, laughter and love. Subscribe for more true stories of strength and inspiration. Music fades out. Visual, a close-up of a microphone under a spotlight. The audience laughs in the distance. Gentle tone. They say laughter is the best medicine. But what happens when the person making the world laugh is fighting her own battle for health and strength? Pause. This is the story of Rosie O'Donnell, a comedian, an icon, and a woman who found hope.
In the face of diabetes, dramatic music swells. Visual, Rosie smiling on stage, lights flashing, audience clapping. Cut to her sitting alone, looking exhausted backstage. Rosie O'Donnell, a woman who brought light into people's homes with her quick wit and fearless humor. But behind that laughter, something was wrong. She felt tired, weak, and out of balance. Simple things became harder. The energy that once filled the room began to fade. Soft piano plays. Rosie didn't understand what was happening at first. Like many others, she brushed it off, thinking it was stress or overwork. But her body was trying to tell her something serious. Visual, hospital corridor, soft beeping of monitors, Rosie speaking with a doctor. Somber tone. After a major health scare, doctors told Rosie the truth. She had type 2 diabetes. Pause. It was a moment that changed everything. Fear crept in. Questions filled her mind. Could she keep performing? Could she live the same way again? But deep down, Rosie knew this wasn't the end. It was the beginning of a new fight. Dramatic pause. Music fades slightly. Visual. Rosie walking outside, cooking healthy meals, checking her blood sugar, and smiling with friends. Rosie decided to take control. She started learning, changing, and healing. She adjusted her lifestyle, eating better, exercising, and managing her diabetes with determination. Inspiring music begins to rise. It wasn't easy. There were days of doubt, days when she wanted to give up. But Rosie's spirit, the same one that made millions laugh, refused to break. She turned her pain into purpose, her struggle into strength. And slowly, she began to feel alive again. Visual, Rosie laughing during an interview, hugging her children, smiling on stage. Rosie used laughter as her medicine. She spoke openly about her diabetes, breaking the silence for others who were afraid to share their stories. She reminded people that humor doesn't erase pain, but it helps you live through it. Pause. Because every smile, every laugh, every moment of joy is proof that hope never dies. Visual. Rosie watching the sunset, peaceful and confident. Warm, uplifting tone. Today, Rosie O'Donnell continues to inspire millions, not just as a comedian, but as a survivor. She reminds us that diabetes doesn't define you. Your choices, your courage, your heart, that's what defines you. Inspiring music swells. To everyone living with diabetes, remember Rosie's journey. You have the power to fight back, to heal, and to live fully, one day, one laugh, one step at a time. Rosie O'Donnell, fighting type 2 diabetes with courage, hope, and laughter. Subscribe for more real stories of strength and inspiration. Music fades to silence. They say laughter heals everything. But what happens when the person who brings laughter to millions is silently fighting her own battle for life and health? Pause. This is the story of Rosie O'Donnell. And with every small victory, she proved something powerful. That strength doesn't come from never falling. It comes from rising every time you do. Visual, Rosie on a talk show, smiling confidently, sharing her story. Warm tone. Rosie began to speak openly about her diabetes. She wanted others to know, it's okay to be scared, but it's never okay to give up. She used laughter as her medicine. Her humor didn't erase the pain, but it made the journey lighter. Because even in her hardest moments, Rosie found a reason to smile and to help others do the same. Visual, Rosie looking at the ocean during sunset, peaceful and strong. Inspiring tone. Today, Rosie O'Donnell continues to live with type 2 diabetes, not as a victim, but as a fighter. She's proof that with courage, discipline, and heart, you can take control of your story. Inspiring music swells. Her journey reminds us all, diabetes doesn't define who you are. Your strength does. Your choices do. Your laughter does. Visual, Rosie smiling on stage as the audience applauds. Soft, uplifting tone. To everyone living with diabetes, remember Rosie's story. You are not alone. You are stronger than you think. And just like Rosie, you can rise, one step, one smile, one day at a time. Visual, a dark comedy stage. A single spotlight shines on a microphone. The audience's laughter echoes faintly in the background. Gentle, reflective tone. They say laughter heals the soul. But what happens when the one spreading laughter is the one in need of healing? Pause. This is the story of Rosie O'Donnell, a woman who faced type 2 diabetes not with fear, but with humor, courage, and heart. Dramatic music begins to build softly. Visual, Rosie smiling on her talk show, shaking hand with guests, making the audience laugh. Rosie O'Donnell. The world knew her as a comedian, actress, and host. Her laughter filled homes across America. But offstage, Rosie was facing a different kind of challenge, one she didn't joke about. Soft emotional piano. She felt drained. Her body ached. Something didn't feel right. Still, she pushed through every show, every appearance, every smile. Because that's what strong people do. They keep going until they can't. Visual, a hospital corridor. Rosie sitting quietly, listening to a doctor. Somber, steady tone. After a major health scare, Rosie's doctors told her the truth. She had type 2 diabetes. At first, she was in disbelief. A storm of questions filled her mind. How did this happen? Will I be okay? But deep inside, Rosie knew this was her wake-up call. A message from her body to take her health back. Dramatic music fades to silence. Visual, Rosie walking at sunrise, exercising gently, preparing healthy meals, smiling with family. Hopeful tone. Rosie made a choice, not to surrender, but to fight. She learned what diabetes meant, and how to live with it, not suffer from it. Pause. She started eating better, moving more, and speaking openly about her journey. Inspiring music rises softly. There were hard days, days of fatigue, frustration, and doubt. But Rosie refused to give up. She found strength not only in discipline, but in laughter. Her laughter, once her gift to others, became her medicine. Visual, Rosie on stage again, confident and glowing, sharing her story. Warm tone. Rosie didn't hide her diagnosis. She used her platform to raise awareness, showing others that living with diabetes is possible, with hope, care, and courage. She reminded everyone that humor doesn't erase pain, but it can light the way through it. Pause. Soft piano returns. She turned her battle into a message. You can live with diabetes and still live fully. Visual, Rosie at home, peaceful, watching the sunset with a smile. inspiring tone. Today, Rosie O'Donnell continues to manage her type 2 diabetes with courage and love. Her story isn't about fame, it's about faith. Not about perfection, but persistence. Inspiring music swells. She shows that even when life tests you, you can rise. You can adapt. You can shine again. Visual. Rosie on stage, smiling as the audience cheers. To everyone living with diabetes, remember Rosie's journey. Your story doesn't end with diagnosis. It begins with hope. Keep fighting. Keep smiling. Because your light, just like Rosie's, can still inspire the world.